Although I may appear to be in a physical body, actually I'm not really dependent on all the physical needs that a conditioned personality would believe that they had to have: food, water, etc. When we use these examples of food and water, shelter and things, we're talking that we're, general human beings who kind of believe they have a certain need. Now, it is a big disservice to human society to fan those aspirations and to turn what might even be an aspiration into thinking as a necessity.
Yes.
What we regard as necessities for our life today is ridiculous.
Yes.
It's crazy.
I can see one right behind you, Martin.
Yeah. I mean, a big box.
You can't see this on screen, but it's a big box with a
screen on the front of it.
A screen on the front of it, exactly. Yeah.
And we are conditioned to believe that is the necessity. The amount of food, the type of food we eat, the amount of range of clothes we have, the power of our transport machines, our ability to holiday in the sun, on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
This is mad ideas of necessity that we have allowed ourselves to be conned into.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, what the yogis tell us is you don't need anything. Zip, nothing. You don't need clothes. That's why they do this thing where they often in the Himalayas, they no clothes if necessary. The Naga Bapas, no clothes.
Yeah.
Freezing cold, and or it can be really boiling hot. It doesn't matter. Their body just deals with it and just says, "I'm happy as it is."
But presumably they regulate their own inner temperature, don't they? That's the whole point.
That is exactly the point. And some, can forego eating, drinking, and even reduce the breathing practically down to, something infinitesimal, where they're just merging the inner breath with the outgoing, and actually it's no longer any kind of panting type breath as we do. So they are an example to us, and that's why human society always needs vairagya. It always needs some kind of renunciation as part of the human society. We need examples of renunciation because we have to be reminded that actually we don't need all this stuff around us. We can actually live with very, very, very little, and we can be happy with little. We don't have to be in anxiety.
Yeah.
But that's not the consciousness that is going to create economic growth and make some people very, very rich. So I'm afraid there is vested interests, as we talked about before, for making you want things.
Mm-hmm. Which, as I said earlier as well, in a slightly different context, those people will defend to the hilt because it is seen to their livelihood. But ultimately, if you take that to the extreme, that also, as I think I said last time, is evidence of so-called belief in scarcity, because even those people who have everything more than enough, the richest people on the planet, right, and they know that they don't need all the money they've got, certainly. I mean, there's only so much you can spend anyway, even if you're completely mad and wanted everything possible available on the planet, right? Only because of their own concern for scarcity do they continue to hoard and to build that, potentially, I'm not saying everyone, but to build those, material resources. For what purpose? For, other than, ego-driven, no doubt, but also this element of scarcity. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. If we all knew that we all had enough and there would be more than enough for everyone, I've said it before, we would all be fine,
Yes. I mean, however, I do believe that there's the practical issue on that. It's one thing having the belief that there is enough for everyone, but we've got to live congruently with that.
Well, yes, and I said that earlier. But congruently inside, not outside. So this is an internal thing, not an external thing.
Oh, and well, I think you have
You're going to give me practical stuff in the external world.
I think that your congruence has to go beyond the internal, has to start with the internal.
Give me an example.
And I think that was my example earlier where I said that, I'm going to, there's plenty of water to go around, but I'm just going to make sure that
I have all of it.
I have all of it.
Or all that I think there is
more's
left.
come. Oh, that's really good, and I'm sure there's plenty more where that came from. And I think that'll be fine, and I'm sure that all the rest of you guys will be okay.
But again, you see, if I know...
I'm right.
I've explained that. Do you remember what I said? If I ignore this in a five sensory... All you're saying is, in your five senses are telling you that that's all that's left, right? But inside me, I'm saying there's always going to be enough water for me. So it doesn't matter what's on the table, Martin. That's the point.
I know, but my point is...
It does not matter what's on the table.
I know, you're revealing the... elevated consciousness of someone with that perception, and I agree with that, and I think that's absolutely right, and that is the laudable approach. My feeling is that sometimes I just have come across this where people speak the philosophy of believing in abundance, but actually what they really believe in is that as a justification for gathering to themselves more than is really their fair share.
Yeah, okay. Well, and fair share, that's always going to be a judgment.
It is, of course it's a judgment, and it's going to be relative, and it's, no one can say what is a fair share. But my view is that it's always got to be the sharing of resources as far as practical within the current circumstances. So if we put this one out of the picture for a while, and if that within our current field, now we know that there's more water around the place, but even in a simple kind of social setting like this, we're sitting here, it's late in the evening, we know there's a kitchen down there, we can fill this up, and we can drink gallons of water till our hearts, we know that, but still the convention, and I think it's a proper and a polite convention that supports the type of elevated consciousness we're talking about. Still the convention is, well, that's there, here you go, I've got some here, you fill that yourself up, I'm not an anxiety, and this is all we have for tonight, that's all we have, it's fine. So we're acting consistent with what is currently available to us.
Right, yes, as I said, it's what's on the table.
Yeah. We know that there's more elsewhere. So I think the fair share has got to be kind of fair within what what is within the kind of what's on the table for society.
You see, my point is this. Let's go to the biggest picture on this. Let's imagine now the table is the whole planet, right, in terms of the resources. What I'm saying is, right, we cannot, and this is, I think, the difficulty with your point, we cannot define... Because you would like to define, it would seem.
Note how he has swapped the jugs around.
You would like to define how much water there is on this table, right? To enable you to determine what a fair share is for everyone. Now, it's only if you have that measurement that you can then have a fair share. Well, what I'm saying is, you don't even have to get into fair shares if there is unlimited... Because unlimited is unlimited. You no need to share something that's unlimited.
Yes, but my point...
Water will always come down a mountain.
But that's my point. That, when we were looking at this... It
doesn't matter what's in the jug.
I know. We know, but I'm saying that even what's on this table is unlimited because it can always be topped up. But I believe that we should always act according to the social convention of looking at what is currently accessible for us here.
And my point is, how can we know what is currently accessible? How can we measure it?
Well, it gets obviously...
We can measure it obviously on this level.
It gets harder
the bigger
on a bigger
you go,
plan.